Hi guys, thanks for joining me on my first video. This is just a little bit of fun. This is helping you guys cook at home. Basically, I've been asked by a lot of people if I can make certain things for them, can I give them recipes? So I thought I would just do a little Facebook page. Anybody that wants to come join me can, anyone that doesn't, no hassle. So first one I'm going to make is Tarte Tatin. I made one, I put it on my Instagram and everyone was asking me for my recipe, how to make it, what's the perfect apples to use. So I'm going to show you my Tarte Tatin that I make at home. And then you can make it at home too. This whole page is just going to be stuff that I make at home. It's nothing fancy, there'll be some little tips in there, some great recipes, and more than anything it's for other people to learn. Something that you might think silly, someone else might find that is really helpful for them. So I'm going to start making this Tarte Tatin. Now, best apples to use for Tarte Tatin are Braeburn apples. They've got nice acidity to them, they've got a good texture. Don't use anything like a Gala apple or a Granny Smith. Granny Smith, they cook really fast and become mushy, and Gala apples are just far too sweet. There's so much sugar and caramel in here that you want a nice acidic apple. So, for the apples, peel them. Again, peel any way you like. This is a speed peeler. Favourite kind of peeler for me. But if you have a knife and you want to use a knife or an old-fashioned peeler, that is fine. Now the amount of apples you're going to use is going to depend on how big your pan is. I'm only making a small pan here. I'm probably going to use about 8 apples. But it's important to compact your apples in your pan because they are going to shrink. So now that they're peeled, take a knife and I'll go directly down the middle in half. Same with the next one. These apples look different, but they are both Braeburn. So now you've got your core. So this is a Parisian scoop or a melon baller if you like. This is what I use. Take out the centres. Scoop around there, then take your knife and just take that core out. There's nothing worse than getting an apple dessert and you've got a little bit of pith or a little bit of core in there. And then into your bowl with your other apples. Same again with this one. Now I know a lot of people will not have a Parisian scoop in their house. So another option, just take a teaspoon. Watch your hands and just go in nice to that core and pull out as much as you can. Again, trim up the excess with your knife. It's slightly harder with a spoon, but it does the job just the same. Just give it a feel, make sure you got all that core out. If there's anything in there, back in with your spoon and just scoop it out. Okay, that's the apples done. Now, the next bit of Tarte Tatin, again, fairly simple. This is a really simple dessert, it's just all about taking your time, making it right. So scales on, get your pan on, and then just balance the weight out, so tar it. Okay, so you got a block of butter here, unsalted butter. Now the ratios for this, you're always going to go double sugar to the amount of butter you use. So you're going to cut this just like you cut slabs of cheese for your roasted cheese. And just work it around your pan. This is quite a small pan. It's enough here for 4 people, I would say. But when it's in my house, it's enough for 2 people. Because we like to eat. Tarte Tatin, serve it, my recommendation, vanilla ice cream. You cannot go wrong with Tarte Tatin and vanilla ice cream. It has got to be the best combination. But if you want a little bit of creme fraiche on there or cream, entirely up to you. But recommendation, good vanilla ice cream. Okay, so that's now saying that there's 70 grams of butter. So that means 140 grams of sugar. Again, zero your scales to make sure you make no mistakes. And sprinkle this all over. For 140 grams. Now, apples. Now this is an important part, is layering your apples up. You have to compact the apples because when you cook apples, they're going to soften, they're going to shrink, and then if you don't compact them, they're going to fall back on themselves. So, take this side, put it like that. And a lot of people caramelise their sugar and the butter and stuff first. It's not how I learned, this is how I learned, and I've always found it works. So, apples in, and you're going to go all the way around. Nice and tight. Don't want it to fall down just now because you can tighten them up again afterwards. Sorry, it's not a bad apple, it's just not as big as the other ones. Now there, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 apples. I'm going to put another little half in there as well. You see how high that is, how compact that is. That's how you want it. And then in the middle, one nice big apple in there. And that's you. Now it's time to start caramelising. Don't throw these away. These are lovely and healthy and good to eat. So, on your stove now, turn it on. Good thing to do is you want a medium kind of heat. And we're just going to get that on there. Now this will take a little while. It's going to start to melt. The butter will start to melt and then the sugar will start to caramelise after that. So we're going to leave that there on a slow medium heat. So you want to just keep watching this. Go away, do something. It's going to take a little while. But every now and then, we'll just turn your pan a little bit like that. Turn it now a little bit like that so you're getting even cooking all around the apples. So we're going to leave that like that for now. And I'll come back once it starts bubbling. Okay, so you can see that it's starting to bubble up here. The sugar and the caramel are almost just emulsifying. You go around here, there's some little bits of split butter, so it looks a little bit greasy. You can see in the middle there as well, it's just melted butter. So that's why we need to make sure that we're continuing to turn this, because this bit's nice, this bit's a little bit greasier. So you need to just turn that so that you get nice, even caramelisation. Now this is going to take a little while until it goes dark. And see all these little bits of bruising on the apples? That doesn't matter. These apples are getting cooked, so if there's a little bit of oxidisation, it's absolutely no problem at all. So, I'm going to continue to let that cook, and once it starts to get a little bit of caramel colour, we'll come back and have a look at it. But you do want this caramel quite dark. The reason you want a dark caramel is because you almost want it going just on that closer side to bitter, because there's so much caramel in there, you want it to be not overly sweet. So the darker the caramel, the much nicer balance of sweetness and sharpness you're going to get. You can see it's starting to bubble quite hard now. That's good. It's all really getting really nice and emulsified. All the sugar and caramel is coming together. That's what I mean by emulsified. It's just starting to become one rather than be two separate ingredients. Now again, we're just going to keep turning this. It's not caramel yet. It's just really nicely cooking there. Now this has taken me about 10 minutes to get to this stage. Don't be disheartened if you think your caramel's not coming along fast enough. It will take time. You can start to see a very, very light caramel happening there. So I'm going to turn my pan around because this caramel's happening here. I want it to happen everywhere. You can start to see now that the caramel's starting to become a caramel. Now once it starts to get to that caramel stage, which you can see, it's going to start to move very fast. So that first little while will take about 10 minutes. It's constantly going to be bubbling and you're going to be wondering, where's my caramel? Once it starts to become a caramel, it happens fast. So you need to start turning, turn your heat down on your hob and continuously move this just to make sure that the caramel's happening everywhere. Now you can see this little bit here, this is a nice caramel kind of colour. That's what you want all round. Keep moving your pan. Let the flames, whatever kind of heat you've got, if it's an induction hob, it could be easier for you, but just make sure you're moving and hitting the hardest heat where there's no caramel. Okay, so you can see that's a really nice dark caramel now. So I'm going to take that off the heat. Taking it off. Let that cool down. Okay. It's going to sit there, it's going to go cool. And then once it's cool, put it in the fridge. let it go completely cool. The caramel's going to set, and then we'll do the pastry part later on. So basically, if you want to make this, you're best to make this part in the morning, and then when it comes to eating it at night, then you're going to start putting your pastry on, and then we're going to bake it in the oven. So let that cool down in the fridge, and I'll see you later on. Okay, so time to put the pastry onto the Tarte Tatin filling now. So what you want to do is, this is just some Just Roll pastry, good to go. You can make your own, obviously it tastes great, but for the purpose of at home, this is probably the easy thing to do. Just buy some ready-made puff pastry. Now you just want to roll it out just a little bit thinner. You shouldn't need any flour for this, it should just roll out. It's only a little bit more, that's it. Then find yourself a plate or a ring or something that fits nicely over your pan. So you've got a nice tiny little edge on there, tiny little bit, and that's it. We're going to take that back to our pastry. We're going to cut around it. Take your plate off. Just ease this away so it doesn't break. That's you. So what we're going to do now is, we're just going to make some little air holes in the pastry. There's going to be lots of steam come off these apples when they start cooking, so you need to pierce the pastry just to make sure that that steam is released. So with a fork, just a nice few of them all around the pastry. So this pastry will get kept. I will use that again. I will make steak pie or little pastries with it. So now we're going to roll this. So what you want to do, pastry on top, obviously, and then you're going to find your apples and you're going to tuck this pastry under the apples. Lift your apples a little bit. You want them to be pushed back together so again they're nice and compressed. Just go around. You have this little lip here of pastry underneath, which is great because that bit gets really nice and chewy with the caramel. So as you're pulling this under, just pull the pastry a little bit tight, so that there's not too much of a dip in the centre with it. I'm just going around, I'm just lifting my apple up a little bit and tucking my pastry under. That caramel is really hard and set, so don't worry if you've got to break through that apple a little bit. Just tuck right under. There's a little bit of apple here. I need that, so let's tuck that right under there. So every little bit of apple I feel, I'm pushing that pastry under it. My favourite part of the Tarte Tatin is that chewy pastry around the edge. So tuck that right in there, really nice. Alright, it doesn't look very pretty just now. All that little bits of pastry, but trust me, it's going to taste delicious. So now I'm going to pop that in the oven. I'm going to give it 20 minutes at 200 degrees. Then I'm going to check it. I'm probably going to need to turn the whole pan in the oven and give it a further 20 minutes. But I'll let you see in the oven as it's cooking. So guys, that's the Tarte Tatin after 10 minutes. Still quite pale in colour, but you can see all that nice caramelisation happening around the edges there. So I'm going to pop this back in the oven now and give it another 20 minutes. It's already been 20 minutes at 200 degrees, go back in for another 20. So that's another 20 minutes on the timer at 200 degrees. Now you can see the pastry's nice and cooked, nice and caramelised. Around here it's all nice and dark. It probably looks slightly darker on the camera than it actually is in real life, but you do want a dark caramelisation there. You can see there's a little bit of excess caramel that's just kind of dripping around there. You can see that? Now we're going to let this cool down. Give it about maybe 5 to 10 minutes just to cool slightly and let everything just set. If you tip it out just now, everything's just going to fall. Let it just sit there for 5-10 minutes, soak up all that excess caramel, and then we'll tip it out. We'll cut a piece and we'll serve it with a nice piece of vanilla ice cream. Okay, I've given this 5 minutes to rest now. I think that's all it needs. So I'm going to grab a plate, put it on top of the Tarte Tatin like that, and then a quick motion we're going to flip it over. Voila. And that is the Tarte Tatin finished. You might be thinking that's a bit dark, but trust me, the picture makes it look darker than it is. It's a really, really nice caramelization. Bon appetit!